Well, good morning. My name is Kurt Meiers. I am the Director of Sourcing at SDI, and we're a supply chain management company that's exclusively focused on the MRO space. Our model's a bit unique in that we're a combination of procurement in an as-a-service as well as a business process outsourcer. So I'm going to talk a little today about what this emerging as-a-service economy is and how to take advantage of it in this particular space. So outsourcing, there's really been an evolution that's occurring in this space. I think it's something we're all familiar with. It's really been something that over time has been stigmatized as simply a labor arbitrage play. The opportunity to move small processes maybe to other parts of the world where there's an opportunity to do them for less. But what we see going on in the marketplace, and one large piece of evidence of this change to this view of an as-a-service economy, is IBM's recent announcement that its integrated technology services and strategic outsourcing businesses are being merged into a single unit, one called Infrastructure Services Organization. In their case, it's a move designed to adapt to a changing IT outsourcing marketplace where clients have different expectations about what it is they want from an outsourced partner. So with these as a service and how we're moving there, we can really talk about new platforms and those changes. The expectation is really now about driving full business process improvement initiatives, driving enterprise standardizations, and doing it all more cost efficiently. Difficult task that it can be to move just work to another part of the world, but when you really begin to need to move all of those aspects, it becomes even more challenging. The evolution towards as a service blends both people and technology. It's much like cloud-based software that allows end users just to plug in and begin to take advantage of the technology that's available to them. The as-a-service model allows service buyers to plug into those things, not only the technology, but the infrastructure as well as the expertise within the organization. And in the process, they can remove unnecessary complexity and automate and bring about automation to help their business become more efficient. Ultimately, it's about bringing the power back into the service buyer's hands to identify opportunities to work together with their service providers using predictive analytics and actionable data for improved decision making. So when we look at MRO, or maintenance, repair, and operations that support production reliability, traditionally speaking, we've seen distributors get pushed, pulled, or cajoled by their customers into the integrated supply space. And while that simplified the purchasing and inventory practices by consolidating their activity to a single partner, it left a number of things to be desired. It allowed the company to spend more time focusing on their core business, but there were still gaps in the process. And those missing links were ones that would enable manufacturers to identify and correct redundancies within their systems. As manufacturers and the business practices have evolved, MRO integrated supplies has evolved as well. And that has evolved into a supply chain as a service that needs to take the entire organization into account and provide an end-to-end solution. Supply chain as a service in the MRO world has really two main functions: support reliable production and enable enterprise asset management. It's a strategic, collaborative approach that includes the design, planning, execution, control, and monitoring of supply chain activities with the objective of connecting MRO supply chain to the direct supply chain within the organization, creating an opportunity to derive value, build a competitive infrastructure, synchronize supply with demand, and mitigate risk and monitor improved performance. While MRO, up in the corner you'll see those nice little 70s and 10s, while MRO may make up less than 10% of your overall spend, it's likely to account for over 70% of the transactional activity within an organization. It's complex, it's a core enabler. It has an impact on both the top line and the bottom line, as well as issues of risk. MRO cuts across and impacts most internal departments, whether that be the purchasing organization, finance, maintenance, manufacturing, engineering, and ultimately the customer of a given organization. But where there's no centralized MRO supply chain, there's no visibility to the various elements and the silos that can become part of it. So predicting demand, and it is difficult, and it becomes a highly reactive market in which the suppliers tend to have most of the control and most of the leverage. And additionally, legacy systems generally are not designed around or built for the type of transactional activity and tracking that's necessary in order to bring about efficiency within the MRO market. Before we talk about this, MRO supply chain management and procurement services have evolved. I wanted to give you a sense of the industry. This is a really fancy chart my marketing folks created, but it talks about the move from the Industrial Revolution up to where we are today with the height of accelerated innovation and the demands that are brought about by that. A 2008 study by Franklin and Association puts that U.S. manufacturers spend approximately $125 billion on an MRO, with a really high demand mix that sometimes can be as high as 60%, leading to an incidence of inventory obsolescence and other transactional challenges. So we've talked about MRO cutting across an organization. The supply chain remains reactive in nature due largely to the lack of a centralized management view, lack of visibility, and a fragmented process. And improvement efforts have really been aimed at specific components, whether those be around the purchasing activity, the inventory activity, the optimization of a storeroom, but they've not been brought together in the whole. So as we come about to this end of this activity of accelerated innovation, we think about a number of things that are driving further change and requiring us as organizations to be more adaptive and more flexible. We think about the industrial Internet of Things. We think about the impact of 3D printing, cloud computing, machine learning, and predictive analytics. So all of those things are driving changes throughout manufacturing organizations as well as other organizations. While you may, I don't know how much of an eye chart that is from where you're at, but this really represents the evolution of the service offerings surrounding MRO. You start down in the lower left-hand corner, you see storeroom outsourcing or delivery and service. Move to opportunities at transaction processing or inventory management. And while each one of those components has brought about elements of value within an organization, and that outsourcing of these activities is a good first step, the real opportunity is in increasing efficiency and speed to value by bringing together all of those various elements, moving beyond just picking off element by element, doing good commodity management or improving your procurement or managing your data better within the warehouse, but really to be able to bring those together in a holistic view is the opportunity. So what are some of the drivers? Product lifecycle compression, disruptive innovation, global competition, and changing consumer expectations are forcing a different view of enterprise asset management and reliability. With these changes, it's easy for companies to get caught with outdated systems or other processes that must be simplified or corrected to function correctly. What's enabling? What are the enablers? Advances in cloud-based and specialized supply chain technology. Service providers like SDI focusing on prioritizing investments in the people and processes and technologies that make supply chain as a service a reality. It's a change in leaders working to remove complexities, improve process, and automate for more predictive and proactive production domains. But of course, there's obstacles. Before we can get to this as-a-service view, the research firm HFS identified the 4 fundamental foundations that must be in place. The optimum operating model, an empowering talent to make it possible, technology to augment the knowledge labor, and a burning platform for change. The burning platform for change seems to be the one that is the most missing in most organizations. While the status quo or legacy processes make it hard for organizations to see the need for change or what the value of that change can be. So while there's a view at the senior level many times of an opportunity for change, the operational level of an organization is many times in opposition to those changes and may not see the need for the change. So what does supply chain as a service look like for MRO? It encompasses an MRO supply chain that is truly end-to-end with these components: master data, simplifying the procure-to-pay process, streamlining and improving inventory practices, upgrading talent, introducing engineering initiatives to improve the reliability of the production assets, as well as driving advancements in technology from on-premise systems to platform as a service or software as a service within MRO. This plug-and-play approach connects all the components into a singular platform. It happens when service providers commit to delivering greater value, real value beyond just cost savings, but rather working together with service buyers to get them to expand their view of what value can be created. But as buyers, they need to recognize that the platform we've talked about, it will only be seen if they're able to expand their perspective beyond efficiency to capability. So with the future of as a service, and in particular MRO supply chain as a service, it's clear that there will be a need for additional cutting-edge service providers and suppliers who can continue to drive performance and transformation throughout the supply chain, turning data into useful information, introducing innovation, and making supply chain as a service a model for the future that will carry procurement forward. Thanks for your time this morning.